You're a young man and you're looking to get married, and you got this fine sister, this nice sister. You're lucky. You're looking at and you're engaging with, but now you find out that she has a couple of children, and you're thinking, man, how can I do that? What I need to do in order to get with her and then be a proper person, being a proper bonus father. My name is Hassan Clay, and this is the Get Made podcast. And many of us, especially within our community, especially within the African American community, find ourselves in this dilemma where you're a man who is interested in a woman and she has some kids. And some men are not built for being a bonus father. I'm just going to be honest with you. They love the woman, don't know how to handle the kid, right? Don't know how to mentally handle someone else's child. But if you are that guy, you feel like you're that guy, this show is going to be for you. And so I'm going to go through about four different things on four different ways or four different things you might need to have in mind when talking about marrying a sister who has children. And now, again, may not be the rule or the exceptions to the rule, because sometimes those things can kind of go in and out. But I'm going to give you my take on that. And hopefully this can help somebody out. If you want any more information about it, of course, comment in the comments below or hit me in my inbox and we can have a conversation about it. I can help guide you through this situation. So first, let's look at this. You have to have some realistic expectations of what love and respect is going to look like walking in the door. Right? You want these kids to kind of like love you and think they're just going to love you and you the all be all, or you are the it. Well, you're going to be sadly mistaken, especially if they're at a certain age, right? Because they got life, they know another man for sure, which is their father. And that's just in case she hasn't been married previously before you, with someone else in between their father and you. So they've been down this road before. They know this road. They know this game. And so they're going to be a little bit more precautious. They're going to be a little bit more shy, if you want to call it that, because that's what I tend to want to call it. They may be even a little bit more apprehensive. And you thinking that you're going to come in and they're just going to fawn all over you or fall all over you or whatever. No, they don't know you from a can of paint. And more likely, they haven't been introduced to you properly. That's a whole nother segment that I'm going to do on this. But they probably haven't been introduced to you properly because you're probably getting ready to get married. You probably hadn't had time to really just get to know her children get to know you, or even if you have children, she getting to know your children, right? But that's another show again. So what is the realistic expectation? Just come in, try to be the best person you can possibly be. Because kindness doesn't cost anybody a thing. Being nice doesn't cost anybody a thing. Treating people well doesn't cost anybody a thing. And especially doing this for children. Especially for children. Because contrary to popular opinion, children can get won over pretty easily. Right? It may take some time. And that's all right, because you're getting married. And it should be about forever. So you got time to make sure that you can cultivate the relationship that you're actually looking for. I have several bonus children that I've raised over the course of many years. And we have great relationships. I'm going to always say that. Walking in the door of the relationship wasn't that great because the kids didn't know me. I had to get them to know me. I had to let them learn me. And I'm not going to always say that I'm right about a lot of things either. I was right. So this is why I can actually come up with this listing that I got for you today. Because, there was some trial and error in that. But I think for the most part, my bonus children and I don't even look at them as bonus children because I'll call them my sons and my daughters. We have a great relationship. We have a pretty good relationship, if you really ask me. And probably if you ask them, I guess they will have to evaluate the situation with me for themselves. But for the most part, we have a lot of love and a lot of respect. And that's what I'm talking about here. I wasn't trying to make them love me, and just from the moment we walked in the door, I had to get to know them. I had to get some of their little quirks. They had to learn some of my quirks, and there was a dance that took place in order for us to really get it right. And somewhere along the line, we got it right. It doesn't mean that they don't get mad at me at some time. It doesn't mean I don't get mad at them sometimes as well. We still human. We still do some things that we probably probably shouldn't have done. And that's going to upset someone. But don't stay in your feelings with that. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later too, right, on something. But don't stay in your feelings with it. Work it out. Have a conversation with them, especially as they get older. Because the relationship has to change. The dynamics have to change as they get older. It's no longer are you parenting a kid. You're parenting an adult. And that situation changes. That conversation changes. And so you have to be mindful of that. 2, walking in the door, trying to establish your authority. They got a whole system that's taking place well before you got there. And the authority that was in the house was the mother. And so you want to see a lot of looking at the mom and seeing if, are we supposed to do this? Or they're going to be looking at her while she looking at you. And you're going to be looking at her too. Like, why are they looking at you? They're looking at her because she's been the authority. Got to respect some of that. And so you're going to have to finesse that situation. And some things that you probably don't like is because not so much as that the kids are a particular way, but really the mother is a particular way. And you're going to have to then establish whatever it is that you feel like your leadership, your authority, your whatever it is you want to call it. You're going to have to establish that with her first. And then as she gets to know you more and y'all get into this thing a little bit more and she start really, giving over to you, then she can start guiding her children along that same path. Now that doesn't mean that if you ask one of them to do something, they're just going to look at her like, should I go and do this? No, that's not what I'm talking about. Because that should be an elder speaking to a child or a kid anyway. That should have that type of respect factors taking place anyway. Right? If an elder says so, ask them, hey, pick up the paper over there or take this outside or whatever. If an elder is already saying this, then they should have that type of code going on within the dynamics that should be taking place anyway. So you shouldn't be running into that type of problem, right? That's not the problem we're talking about here. We're talking about when you coming in because you see, something that doesn't quite fit what you believe is proper, then you automatically go, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. You barking orders. You barking orders. And what you're going to wind up doing is setting up resentment for you. And you want to make your job just a tad harder than, what you want it to be, right? You're going to make that thing a little harder. And nobody's signing up for that, right? Nobody's trying to sign up for that. And I want you guys to know, brothers, I want you to know, and some of you sisters who definitely listening to this because you are in this situation, there is a certain amount of authority that probably should take place, but it's not going to necessarily take place like that. They have to get to know you. They have to learn how to be comfortable with you, knowing that you got their best thought about them, their best interest in mind. That's how you win that. That's how you get from that number one, that number two, going back to number one. We just talked about it a little earlier. They understand that you have their best interest in mind. You're not really trying to do anything that's trying to hurt them. They may not like what it is that you're instructing them to do. But at some point, they're going to really realize that, well, he got his way of thinking. I don't think it's right, but he got his way of thinking. And I'm going to go in here and pout and I'm going to do whatever. But at the end of the day, we still going to be cool. Right? And so, number three, and I want you guys to understand this. This is going to be very important because number three is actually going to tap into number four. Is that you got to respect the position of what the child has of their biological father in mind. And sometimes that's hard to swallow because a lot of times the biological father is not probably doing everything that he should do or supposed to do or whatever you feel like he should be doing, and as well as she might think he might be doing. But that ain't what that kid thinking. That kid got a whole thought. That child got a whole thought about their father. And more than likely, it's a good one. It's a gold one. They really, he didn't show up today, but you know, my daddy, that's what you're going to hear. And you can't be kicking against that, saying, well, your daddy such and such and such. Your daddy ain't this and this and this and that. You know, that's going back, getting your feelings involved in this situation. You can't do that, even though you looking at him like, the world you mean, your daddy? Your daddy ain't done a dang on thing around here. You know, this really is all me. Right? But that's that child's father. Don't bust a bubble with a child of their father. You know, you have to be the bigger man in that. And that's going to take a lot. That's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of praying. It's going to take a lot of getting to know yourself. It's going to take a lot of reflecting on self. It's going to take a lot of managing yourself, learning how to become emotional regulated. You know, we've talked about that a lot here. And learning how to manage your impulse. And having some impulse management and some impulse control. Because sometimes it's just not going to feel good that day. It's not going to feel good that day. And if you make that mistake of downgrading somebody's dad or talking bad about some father's body, one of the kids' fathers, or whatever that might be, I'm saying to you that was wrong, and you need to correct that. And this is when you get your pride, your ego out of the way. Right? Because now you can say, hey, look, I have my opinions about your father and what might be taking place here, but I have no right to put my opinions on you. And for that, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't be talking about your father to you like that. That's your father. You need to respect and love your father. Right? Now, which then takes me to number four. Establishing the relationship with the biological father. Now, this is something that, for the most part, I think I've been very good at being able to do with the children of the father of their biological father. I think I've been pretty good at doing that, and in some of that, I've been able to have real good conversations. Not that I'm the new man in town. I'm pumping my chest and all this whole type of stuff here. I'm not weak, and I'm not going to play him like he's weak. I'm going to respect him as a man, and I'm going to respect him as a father, because the reality of this thing here, I have your kids under my care, and I want you to know that your kids are going to be okay with me. I want you to feel okay, even though I have your kids, and you may even want your kids. I understand that. But I want you to know that your kids are going to be safe with me. I may discipline that when it comes down to it. I may do various, but I want you to know that they will be safe. And so there always will be a line of communication open between me and a biological father. There will always be a line of communication open. Now, if he chooses not to keep that line open, then there's nothing I can do about that. But now what won't happen is we got two fathers parenting in my house, my household. Now that won't take place, right? But if there are decisions that need to be made for the children, that biological father needs to be included. He needs to be included because these are his children. There should be some conversation that's taking place. And real talk, even if he was married and he's somewhere else and and he had the children or whatever, he would need to be able to do that with the biological mother, which then would pull you into play because there has to be some conversation that takes place. And I'm not saying that maybe, because some men have a problem with the mother and the father, the biologicals keep running back and forth, having conversation like that. I mean, that is a slippery slope, right? But nevertheless, I'm saying here is there has to be people adulting. And in adulting, you are going to have communications, conversations with each other about the children. And there, even though, okay, I hear what you're saying. Like I have one father, he and I talked about a situation. He said, well, look, Hassan, they're there with you. I want you to make the decision. You make that decision. He's there with you or she's there with you. I want you to make that decision. But I definitely appreciate you telling me what's going on and you hearing what I had to say. And I wanted to include him in the situation. And he's like, look, they're there with you. You make that decision. You get to speak for me in that. Now, everybody's not going to be like that, right? I get that. But when you start having lines of communication open, I am going to let you know when you start acting like men, you are going to really get some good cooperation. Now, again, that's going to be based upon the maturity level of certain men, right? But we pray that with you show him maturity, that he has to step up to the plate. If you show him the situation, he has to step up to the plate. Now, you do have people who will try to undermine what's taking place. I want to say that those people, and y'all hear me say this a lot, those people are the ones on the fringe. They're outliers. They're not the one in the middle. They're not the medium here. They're not the median here. These are the outliers. These are people well on the outside of the curve. And so I don't want to really put a lot of energy into those guys when you got people who are really trying to learn how to work together. That's where my energy is. I want to put my energy there. And I want us to put our energy there. And if we can be those people here in the middle, maybe we can start picking some of these people on the outside and pull them into the group, and they can have a good, balanced relationship as well with the parents, with the co-parents, and the children. Because at the end of the day, this thing is going to be about the children. Right? It's not our personal things, not completely, not just our preferences, but what's going to be popping for the children. And we have to keep in mind, some of you fathers who have, your child up under bonus father's care, you're going to have to understand that he has a whole lot of responsibility for your child. Don't disrespect that. Don't discount that. He has a whole lot of responsibility for your child. Your child is under his care a pretty good portion of the time. So there has to be some respect. Men have to be able to respect men. It's not his fault that you're no longer with the child's mother. Y'all decided to do something different. got nothing to do with him. He just now the can got kicked down the road to him. And so there has to be some sort of respect, mutual respect. Now that's the word I want to make sure that we have understanding. Mutual respect for all the parties involved, all the co-parenting. It's just not two people co-parenting. When people get married, it's four people co-parenting. It's people who are co-parenting. And so we have to be able to work that. So I want us to really stay in line with what we got. I want you to think about those four things that we talked about here. You know, how to gain that love and respect, and not thinking that's just going to automatically show it because the mama love you, you know, that the kid's supposed to love you too. That ain't gonna work. That normally don't work that way, right? You had something to do with trying to win her over, and so you're gonna have to do the same thing with them, winning them over. Making sure that you don't step into a situation where you're trying to be the authority. You know, you come in looking strong. Come in looking with the man with the stick, but you look like you ain't no fun. You don't look like you got no compassion. You don't look like you got no balance. You don't look like you just look abusive, right? And many of us do that thinking we trying to step in and establish authority because it's been a woman over this household, so we got to do all this correcting. And I've been down that road too. I ain't gonna sit here and act like I haven't. I've been down that road too. And I'm telling you how I was wrong. I'm telling you how I could have done something. So in this day and age now, understanding I could have done something totally different. Right? Could have done something totally different. So that's 2. 3, making sure that we don't disrespect the idea and feelings that the child has for the biological father or the biological parent, right? Making sure that we're not interrupting that by putting our thoughts and feelings or whatever might be taking place on that child. Yeah, he might not be doing nothing. Yeah, he may not be sending a dime. Kids don't know nothing about that. You know, the kids don't know nothing about that. The kids don't know how these bills getting paid around here. The kids don't know nothing about it, how they eating, who paying for the food, what they eat. Kids don't know nothing about that. And it ain't for you to tell them. You just handle your business, you know, because that's your responsibility. And last but not least, making sure that biological parents and the bonus parents, that y'all start learning how to have a cohesive relationship. Y'all, you know, including them in, having conversations, pulling them in on decision-making situations. I'm talking about major. I ain't talking about every decision. You know, well, you think I should buy him a pair of blue pants or brown pants? I mean, come on, really. But there may be some conversations about the school or about, you know, what these grades or what might be some issues, some behavior issues that might be taking place. There may be some conversation that need to take place there. And so y'all having a united front when it comes to dealing with them kids, because here's what's going to happen. Them kids going to get in between you, and they're going to cause some friction. They're going to divide and conquer. That's all they know. That's all they know. They're going to play one against the other. And when they're going to get back to the other, my daddy said, I ain't got to listen to you. Now, any man that ever tell a child that and he living up on his roof, he dead wrong. And I don't care if he want his children or not. Any man that's taking care of your child has to listen to the other man talking about who's taking care of that child. Because he's the bonus father doesn't mean that he got rights just like anybody else got rights. I want y'all to know that. That's real talk. He got rights just like everybody else got rights. He eating his food, he up under his roof, sucking up his air, getting his heat, laying his head on his pillows. He's doing everything in there. Even if the woman had the house before he got there, it belongs to him now. It belongs to him now. And so he has some say over there. He got some say on what's going to happen with that kid. Now, he needs to be honorable and respectful, but he got something to say about that kid. So, y'all get out your feelings. All right? Got your feelings. That's what be happening a lot of times when you have these cats talking like this. They in their feelings. Got your feelings. You decide not to be with that woman, or she decide not to be with you. Got your feelings. You know, you move on. Keep it moving. All right? I know me. I ain't gonna play no games with you. Buckle up. Tell you what's happening. All right? Buckle up. You know, got your feelings. All right? But nevertheless, let's get some cooperation because our kids are, we're losing our kids out here. And we're losing our kids because they divide us. Real talk. So, appreciate you guys talking to me and being on here today. And of course, I hit them hit them shares and hit them stars and I am appreciative of the love that I have been getting. Again, like last week, I think I had like 7,500 views. Right, by far, it's one of the best weeks just in a week time that I've had, and I'm really appreciative of that. Y'all can tell a lot of people have been commenting and liking and different things that I don't even know. Right, and so I'm definitely appreciative of that. Y'all keep tuning in to the Get Made podcast. And we're going to, of course, subscribe over there at YouTube at the Get Made podcast on YouTube. And we're going to see you guys next week. Have a great one.